Hello, welcome back to Tactical Tuesday with Johnny Tiger on May 2nd, 2023. We have spent quite a few episodes talking about guillotine choke and by extension, Krav Maga knee strike, the kind of hold that you will use, the neck, the shoulder and arm grab, and so on. Quick refresher for those of you who missed the previous episode and don't want to sort through all the previous episodes. Guillotine choke is when your opponent, for some reason, is bent over like this, and like they might be trying to grab your leg, do a cool MMA takedown, or they might try to rush you and shoulder like do a low line tackle, or maybe you just kick them in the groin and they bend over. This is my favorite, right? And when they bend over, you drop your arm over the back of their neck, come around, so your forearm come up from under the chin. You reach around, grab your own wrist, and you arch your back up like this, and you start choking. This is called a guillotine choke, right? Krav Maga knee strike, we covered that in several episodes. I'm not going to just go into that again. So, no matter if we are doing our standard guillotine choke or we transitioned over to Krav Maga knee strike, one thing you always have to watch out for, one thing you always have to watch out for is the person suddenly reach for a weapon. Okay? Again, remember, most of what we do here is not standard MMA or jiu-jitsu or taekwondo or karate. We do a lot of what we do in preparation for if you happen to get into a fight on the street and have to defend yourself. Okay, so while you're engaged in something close quarter like a guillotine choke, like this, right? If the person suddenly reach for a weapon, you have very little time to react. Okay? If you are doing knee strike to the person and the person suddenly reach down with even with an offhand with a weapon like this, you're going to get it right in the leg. So it is very important to know how to move to save yourself, to stay out of harm's way. And one of the biggest things I can tell you guys is pay attention to your sensitivity. Sensitivity training is one of the most vitally important things for people who are blind or visually impaired, but not just for us, it's for everybody. Because while you are getting in the guillotine choke, while you're doing a guillotine choke on somebody, you don't really see what their hands or their arms doing. So you have to be sensitive to be able to react. Okay? Now, for the arm closer to you, which means if I grab the person in a guillotine choke with my right arm, the side closer to me will be the right side. This will refer to this as the near side, the near arm, the near hand. The side away from me, so if I have him under my right arm as a guillotine choke, then his left side is far away, is away from me, right? That's the far side, the far hand, right? If the person draw their weapon with their near hand, okay, so I'm going to go on the left side so you guys can see better. So if the left hand suddenly go back toward the pocket for a weapon, this is very obvious, okay? So if you are paying attention, you're not just busy beating up a person, you should notice this movement, this arm going back movement, right? It's very, very obvious. Yeah, if you missed it, then you're going to get knifed right in the groin. That's what's going to happen. So pay attention to what the arms are doing. Okay, so when this arm, the near arm, the near hand, go for the weapon, this one is easy. Okay, it's scarier because it's closer to your groin, but it's easier because you'll always feel it. Okay, when it's so close to you like this, and the hand go back. What we do is I'm not going to let go of my guillotine choke yet. With my free hand or the hand that was supposed to be grabbing on my own wrist, or if I'm doing a knee strike like this, okay, my grabbing hand, my free hand, in other words, when I sense the near hand reaching back for the weapon, I'm going to shoot my free hand under the armpit and cross over their back, keeping it high up like this. Okay? Because if I keep my arm here, they can't utilize their weapon very, very well. Okay? And once I shoot my arm in between their body and their arm like this, my guillotine hand will then let go, keeping my elbow nice and heavy on the back of the spine, their neck. I'm going to put my hand down on their wrist or hand so that knife can come out. Okay, so it should look something like I'm doing my guillotine and they reach. Yeah, that's all it takes. I snake my arm through, hug them tight to me, keep my pressure on the back of their neck, drop my hand down. Okay, now they can't pull that knife out, not very quickly anyway. Okay, and from here, all I have to do is step back. That will twist their arm up behind them and bring them down to the ground. So yes, the near side is scarier but easier. Okay, the response is easier because your arm will get in there quicker. Now, what if they draw with the far hand? Let's say I'm grabbing from the right side, right? I'm going in for my guillotine, and suddenly their left hand, their far hand, reach for the pocket. But this is a lot harder to feel, okay? But luckily, for those of you who are sighted, you can actually see that. Like this, when their hand go back, this because your head is kind of looking down at the back anyway, so you hopefully will see that. For blind individuals, that's hard. This one's harder. Like it's unless the person is particularly clumsy and they fumble with their knife. Otherwise, it's harder for us to feel this one. Okay, so the far side is really hard for blind people to notice. So obviously, if you don't notice it and you get it in the kidney, you get it in the leg, you're dead, right? So there's nothing to talk about there. So assuming I get the guillotine, he reached back with the forehand. From here, I can't come around this side. I can't come around front of him because by the time I let go and come around, this knife is already coming out, getting me in the groin and leg. Okay, I don't care how fast you are. If you're going for a guillotine, there's no way you're going to transition quick enough to stop that. Okay? Now, what you want to do the moment you see the far hand is reaching for something in the pocket is you take a step behind them. You step around behind them away from the knife. So they're reaching with the left hand. I step around them from the right, and while I'm stepping, I'm going to give their head a violent shove, right? This hopefully will accomplish two things. One, drop them to the ground. Two, disorient them. Hopefully they'll drop their weapon. Even if they don't drop their weapon, I'm hoping that when they're falling down, they'll stab themselves. But anyway, this gives me time to back away and reach for my own weapon. Right? By the time they get up, I would have my own weapon extracted after that. Okay? Even if they don't fall down, even if they don't fall down, the action of shoving them will give me enough distance, at least an arm's away, so by the time they turn around, I have time to deal with, I have time to do my uh, X block or knife parry or whatever I need to do. You know, by that time it's very messy. Okay, we won't go into too much of that today because it's going to be half and half. Half luck, well actually 60-70% luck, and the rest is technique. Now, some people have brought this up before. If I get him in a guillotine choke and he reaches with his far hand for his weapon, why can't I go behind him and either rear naked choke him or bring him down by grabbing his head and eyes? It's very simple because you cannot guarantee that he's going to drop that knife no matter what you do. Okay? If you stay this close, if I stay this close, whether I'm going for a choke from behind or I'm going to pull his face down to the ground, I'm not addressing the hand with a knife in it, which means if he starts flailing, he's going to get me on the face or in the chest. Okay? The worst he's going to get is a sore neck or sore face. The I can be dead. Okay, if he starts flailing at this distance, if I try to stay this close. Okay, so the best thing to do, the moment they reach for their knife with that far hand, step behind, shove them down to the ground, and start backing away and extract your own weapon in the process, or turn and run away. Right? Like I said many times before, knife defense, weapon defense it's more academic than actual practicality, because a lot of times you don't know if these things going to work or not until it's in your face. So take it with a grain of salt, but this today is what you want to do, how you deal with if someone reach for a weapon while you are in that, got them in a guillotine or Krav Maga knee strike pose. Thank you for checking out today's video. I'll be back again tomorrow for some Wisdom Wednesday.